07, fellow Star citizens, this is Starus here. Here am I in the EPTU. It's been out for about a week now, and this EPTU version seems to be more stable in some ways, but also less stable in other ways. And I think one of the biggest problems I have with this version is that while more things seem to work, I crash to desktop a lot more often. In fact, I had actually crashed on the way from Stanton to Pyro in my Carrack. So this is me making the reverse journey. And I thought of making this journey because I wanted to show my org mates as well as any of my channel viewers how a wormhole jump actually looks like. I know it's a little bit late because other YouTubers have already covered this, but in my case, I'm just curious as to what actually happened with my reverse jump this time. Stay tuned and let me know what you think. So just like in Pyro Gateway in Stanton, the journey from the gateway to the wormhole is actually about maybe 40 or 50 kilometers. Not a long distance to slow boat, but I decided to sort of boost to the wormhole because there was a raid ship or a potentially hostile ship just right outside of Stanton Gateway in Pyro. So I didn't want to take my chances and I sort of sped my way to the wormhole. Switching over to third-person view, just to share how beautiful the wormhole nebulas are. The wormholes over on the Stanton side have a bluish color tone to them, and the wormhole on the Pyro side tend to be a bit more orangey. And I think in keeping with the lore that surrounds Pyro, the structures on the Pyro side tend to be a little bit more dilapidated and even damaged or in semi-destroyed state. Excuse the really loud audio. I think while the audio really adds to the tone of the game, CIG still hasn't quite gotten the volume balancing issue sorted out. This has been something that persists in live and appears to still exist in the EPTU. Actually, the super loud audio was probably a cue for me that some things weren't going well with the client, and I had actually crashed the desktop at that time. So anyway, just to speed up the process, I will restart the video to the point where I start loading back into the game. And I'm grateful that persistence works. I think it works even better in 4.0. And I basically just spawned back onto the cockpit of my Connie. Albeit the Connie took some damage. The left fender was missing and the hull was slightly damaged. But I think this is because I think while I crashed to desktop, I still existed in the burst for a few more seconds and ended up hitting an object. Thank goodness I had my ship on boost and I wasn't holding on to the cruise control button. So basically the moment the control input stopped, the ship started to decelerate. Of course, in this particular case, not quickly enough, and I ended up hitting something. The good thing is I didn't blow up and I'm really back, and the ship seemed to be in a reasonably good condition to take the jump through the wormhole. As the rest of the journey was uneventful, I didn't want to bore you with the remaining like 30 or 40 kilometers before I actually reach the wormhole. So I will sort of skip ahead to just when I'm about to jump. For those of you who are wondering, you know you reach the wormhole when in quantum mode you start to see the HUD change, and of course there is a very apparent like change in music as well. Really, you know, this music that is playing right now really connotes a sense of hope, adventure, unknown. Slightly calming though, perhaps not very suitable if you are making the jump from Stanton to Pyro, because Pyro is expected to be a lot rougher than Stanton was. So there's no real reason for anyone to be calm about entering Pyro, but that's just me being silly. So you saw the visual cues, the HUD status changing, and you will start the jump when you have this indicator that basically says that the wormhole is opening. And then you get pulled in. So this part, slightly challenging. Corning's not that maneuverable, but it wasn't as bad as when I travelled the other way in the Carrack. But yeah, it really feels that you're going through something epic. And I think this, probably won't be old for a couple of times. But I'm not sure if I want to have to go through this every time I jump through the gateways, after, playing for a significant amount of time. That's what happens when you hit one of those black pillars. Anyway, this jump didn't turn out as expected, and I kind of need your help, just to tell me what happened. So if you know what happened, to me in this jump, just drop a comment below, and so that I can see whether I should just restart my EPQ account, wait for a next build, or just basically wait for a while for my account to reset. So the jump seemed to be going on well. I didn't hit and bounce completely off the tunnel walls, and it looked for a point in time, as the color changed, that I was transiting from Pyro to Stanton again, or rather, transiting from Pyro to Stanton for the first time. And there was even this bright light. I think this light connotes the midway point, or the point where you actually jump from one system to another. Third person view. Audio is a lot more tame in this view. But as I saw an obstacle coming, I decided to switch back. It's going to be hard to fly in third person view at such speeds and avoid those, or for lack of a better word, like tornado-like structures in the wormhole vortex. Oh yeah, vortex. That's probably a better word for it. Can you hear the ship struggling with the stresses? And then it happened. Wormhole. This is definitely a new experience for me in Star Citizen. I basically started blacking out. I didn't know what was happening. I couldn't even see what was going on in my console. I'm not sure what the status of my ship actually was. But it seemed intact. I could still hear the metal fatigue, groaning noises. And for a while, I thought I was still inside the wormhole, but apparently not. First thing I tried to do was to gain control of the ship, but apparently nothing was responding at this stage. In fact, I was still buffeted by weird forces that moved the colony in all directions. What the hell was going on with my ship? I really didn't know what was happening, and for those of you who didn't catch the early reference, this really reminded me of a scene from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Man, I'm barely maintaining consciousness. CIG, you did a good one here. Really good. So basically, I was stuck in this condition for a couple of minutes. I just couldn't do anything. I even tried to power up the ship. I even tried to power up the engines. Or rather, I tried to power up the engines first before powering on the ship. But no, it was to no avail, no effect, and I was blacking in and out of consciousness. Yeah. I mean, the atmosphere, the drama is there. I do feel it. And for someone whose wormhole jump has gone wrong for the first time, I was absolutely, basically I didn't know what was going on and what I could do. It didn't help that there were obvious signs that my physical body was being buffeted by all sorts of forces that are affecting the ship and its crew. I really can't imagine how it's like if I had passengers. So checking mobiGlas, I could see that I was somewhere in Stanton already, but I just couldn't get out of this semi-wormhole mode. And I do get a sense that I had some form of steering available, but I didn't know where to steer to. I just couldn't see anything. And while I could see the quantum markers, I couldn't jump to them. The drives were not calibrating or spooling up. In fact, it looked like I was being sucked back into pyro at this stage. So out of ideas, I tried to maybe keep my ship heading towards the Stanton Sun, but it wasn't as easy as it seems. The ship was really struggling to be controlled. Not to mention blackout didn't help. And even though I was pointed at the Stanton Sun, I felt that it was getting further and further away. Have any of you experienced this? I mean, what went on there? Was it because I exited the wormhole tunnel unceremoniously? And if so, was it because I missteered and sort of like went straight out one of the sides of the tunnel? It didn't seem to be the case in the video, even after reviewing a few times. Yeah, that didn't sound very good. But this is how it looks on external view. So this went on for a couple of minutes actually. Yeah, that was me trying to restart the ship, toggle travel modes. Nothing worked. So I got to a point where I just decided to just sit through this. And sit through it, I did. It didn't seem to help. I could see streaks that went by that gave me the impression that those were other ships that were still traveling through the wormhole tunnel. I could even detect like ships or ship markers probably just right outside the Pyro Gateway in Stanton, but I just couldn't get out of this state. I was basically stuck in this state until I eventually crashed to desktop. So, guys, if you have any advice on what exactly happened there, whether it was because I accidentally left the wormhole tunnel, or that it was just some kind of bug that I could report to CIG, or basically I need to know whether this is something that was intended or just a bug, so that I can help the CIG folks do some troubleshooting. Once again, your advice and suggestions are appreciated. This is Starus signing out. Have a good day.